The night he finally understood the truth, Amir stood frozen at the same bus stop where everything had begun, listening to the echo of a child's voice that was no longer there. If you stay with this story until the very end, you'll understand why some meetings are not accidents, why kindness always finds its way back, and why stories like this deserve to be shared. If this story touches your heart at any moment, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to KinkyTube, because these stories only live on when you do. It was a cold evening when Amir first noticed her. The city buses came and went with their usual impatience, engines groaning, doors snapping shut, people rushing past with eyes fixed on their phones or the ground. Amir had just finished a double shift at the warehouse, his back aching, his mind heavy with worries he never spoke out loud. Since his wife had passed away 3 years earlier, every day felt like a quiet battle. He was a single father now, raising his 8-year-old son Sammy alone, trying to be both mother and father, strong and gentle, hopeful and realistic all at once. That evening, Amir was waiting for the last bus home when he saw a small figure sitting on the metal bench near the bus stop sign. At first, he thought she was asleep. She was thin, wrapped in an oversized, worn sweater that once might have been pink. Her hair was neatly braided, though the ends were frayed, and her shoes were too big for her feet. But it wasn't until he noticed her eyes that his heart tightened. They were open, unfocused, staring into nothing. She was blind. People passed her as if she were invisible. Some glanced at her and quickly looked away. Others stepped around her as if she were an inconvenience. Amir felt that familiar tug in his chest, the one he always felt when he saw someone hurting but didn't know if he had the strength to help. He thought of Sammy waiting at home, probably pretending to be asleep on the couch so he wouldn't have to admit how lonely he felt without his dad. Amir told himself it wasn't his problem. The city was full of suffering. If he stopped for everyone, he'd never move forward. But then the girl spoke, softly, to no one in particular. Amy said she'd come back before it gets dark. Her voice was calm, practiced, as if she had repeated that sentence many times already. Amir stopped walking. He turned back toward her. "How long have you been waiting?" he asked gently. The girl tilted her head toward the sound of his voice. A faint smile appeared on her face, polite and cautious. "I don't know. The buses came many times." Something in her answer told Amir everything. She didn't know how to measure time by clocks or phones. She measured it by sound, by movement, by hope slowly fading. "Do you know where your mother went?" he asked. "She said she had to talk to someone," the girl replied. "She told me to sit here and wait. She said she'd be right back." Amir sat down beside her. The metal bench was cold, but he didn't care. "What's your name?" "Aisha." "How old are you, Aisha?" 10, she said proudly. "I can count very well." Amir smiled, though his chest felt tight. "That's good. I'm Amir." They sat in silence for a moment, broken only by the sound of traffic and the distant call to prayer echoing through the city. Amir checked the time. It was already late. Too late for a child to be waiting alone. "Are you hungry?" he asked. Aisha hesitated. "A little." That hesitation told him more than her words ever could. Amir reached into his bag and pulled out a small packet of biscuits he had saved for Sammy. He paused for just a second, thinking of his son, then handed them to her. "Here," he said. "Eat slowly." Aisha's fingers brushed against his as she took the packet. Her hands were cold. "Thank you," she said softly. As she ate, Amir's mind raced. Should he call the police? Take her home? What if her mother really was coming back? What if he was interfering in something he didn't understand? But deep down, he already knew the answer to the question he was afraid to ask. "Does this happen often?" he asked carefully. "Waiting like this?" Aisha nodded. "Sometimes. But usually she comes back." "Usually," Amir repeated. The bus arrived, the last one before midnight. Amir watched people board it, watched the doors close, watched it disappear into the night. He realized something then. If he left now, Aisha would still be here when the morning came. "Would you like to come somewhere warm for a while?" he asked. "Just until we figure things out." Aisha didn't answer right away. She clutched the empty biscuit packet in her hands. "Amy said not to go with strangers." "That's good advice," Amir said gently. "You're very smart." How about this? I'll sit right here with you. I won't go anywhere. Aisha smiled. Okay. Hours passed. The city grew quieter. Shops closed. The streetlights flickered. No one came for Aisha. By the time Amir made the decision, it felt less like a choice and more like something that had already been decided for him. He called the local helpline, explained the situation, and stayed with Aisha until a social worker arrived. But when they tried calling the number Aisha knew by heart, it was disconnected. That night, Amir went home alone, but his mind stayed at the bus stop. Over the next few days, he couldn't stop thinking about Aisha. He called the shelter to ask about her. The story unfolded slowly, painfully. Aisha's mother had been struggling for years, moving from place to place, job to job. The day she left Aisha at the bus stop, she had made a choice she believed was the only one left. She disappeared. Weeks turned into months. Amir visited Aisha whenever he could. At first, he told himself he was just checking in, just being kind. But Sammy came with him one day, and something changed. Sammy was nervous at first. He didn't know how to talk to a blind girl. But Aisha laughed when he described his messy hair and his crooked smile. You sound nice, she told him. Sammy beamed. They became friends quickly. Sammy would describe the world to her in vivid detail, colors and shapes and silly little things he noticed. Aisha listened as if she were seeing it all through him. One evening, as Amir watched them together, a terrifying thought crossed his mind. What if he could be more than just a visitor in Aisha's life? The process was long and exhausting. Paperwork, interviews, doubts. Amir questioned himself every step of the way. He wasn't rich. He lived in a small apartment. He was already struggling. Who was he to take on another child, especially one with special needs? But every time he thought of walking away, he remembered Aisha's voice at the bus stop. Annie said she'd come back before it gets dark. The day Aisha came home with them for the first time, Sammy cleaned his room without being asked. Amir cooked more food than necessary. Aisha stood in the doorway, listening, absorbing, feeling the unfamiliar warmth of a place where people stayed. Months later, Amir learned the truth that stunned him. Aisha's mother had left not out of cruelty, but out of fear. She believed Aisha would have a better chance if someone else found her. She had been watching from a distance that first night, waiting to see if someone would stop. Amir sat down and cried when he heard that. Years passed. Aisha grew stronger, more confident. Sammy grew kinder, more aware. Amir learned that love doesn't divide, it multiplies, and one evening, years later, they stood together at the same bus stop. Aisha held Amir's hand. Sammy stood on his other side. This is where you found me, Aisha said. No, Amir replied softly. This is where you found us. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that one small act can change everything, please like this video and subscribe to KinkyTube. Your support helps share stories that matter. And remember, sometimes the truth that stuns us is simply this: love shows up when we least expect it, and it stays.